Elliot Matos and Lincoln Henrique will be announced as Tigers very soon, and there's plenty more transfer action where that's concerned. Welcome back to the HullCityFanCentral YouTube channel, where today we're going through all of the transfer breaking news, latestness, all of the juicy goodness around Hull City and this January transfer window that seems to be turning into Hull City signing a lot of players. We won't say everyone, but quite a lot of players. So to start off with, we will go through the Elliot Matos situation, because he was in attendance last night at the home loss to QPR, and a reported £2.5 million fee is apparently agreed with Monaco over the transfer of defensive midfielder Elliot Matos. Of course, this seems like a very good deal. Being over at Monaco, having plenty of high caliber games under his belt, he's a strong player. And someone, if we're going to get in on the permanent deal, which it sounds like it's going to be a 4-year deal, which what I've read in numerous places, but a 4-year deal for Elliot Matos on 2.5 mil. This screams another bargain for Hull City, with the potential of what he can produce over them coming 4 years. It's really something. I've got to say that to have someone on the books for that long with that sort of fee in mind at the beginning, and that kind of player, to fit him into this squad and have another option in defensive midfield. And this signing screams that, okay, Hull City are thinking backup plan if Oscar Zambrano isn't able to become a Tiger once his ban is either reduced or lifted. If the sights are moved on elsewhere, that's fine, because we've got Matos sealed down for 4 years on a very cheap fee. Let's not forget that he's Belgian youth international, being a part of the Monaco squad, featured quite heavily over there, along with other high caliber games that he's featured in, so it seems like a very nice deal for Hull City to pick him up. Only 22 years old as well. Apparently he's taken his medical. He was at the game last night, and we can expect maybe an announcement, maybe even some point today, may have even already be announced. Of course, I record these a little bit before they come out, or maybe tomorrow, but I presume that him and Lincoln Henrique will be announced before we take on Sheffield United on Friday. Of course, Lincoln Henrique, well, this one's been going on for some time, hasn't it? We've reported it on the channel quite a lot. The loan signing of Lincoln Henrique from Fenerbahce over to Hull City. We'll wait and see. We won't do what some people like to do online, where they make their judgments before they see him play in a Hull City shirt. But Lincoln Henrique comes from Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce, we know, strong team. They've got some good caliber players playing for them. Of course, he's had a little bit of loan out experience in the past, and he seems willingly wanting to come here, which has been sort of a ongoing factor for all the signings this transfer window. Of course, the latest, Carl Joseph, wants to play for Hull City. He openly said it. So Lincoln Henrique, we'll wait and see what he can produce in a City shirt before we make any judgments. But on the face value, loan deal. You can't go too wrong with a loan deal, unless it's Malcolm Eberway. But you can't go too wrong with a loan deal. And for someone that is willingly wants to play in for the club, yeah, you can't say no to it, especially a player like Lincoln Henrique, who could provide a different aspect into this City squad. Of course, with probably some more players departing this transfer window before it closes at the end of January. Lincoln Henrique seems like a good fit to switch in for whoever leaves. Of course, some of the lone ones seeming destined to be gone. But both of them, Lincoln Henrique and Elliot Matos, have already taken their medicals. They was both at the game last night. So we expect an announcement imminent, if not already, once I say this video has been out. I've talked about possible departures. This one kind of came a bit out of left field, and there is reported interest from Swedish side AIK on Hull City defensive midfielder Xavier Simons. Of course, we did bring Simons in following his successful loan from Chelsea a few seasons back. Spent a little bit of time out on loan and really thrived this season under Volta. Hasn't really got himself going under Ruben Sayers. Of course, he's got 2 goals as well this season for the Tigers. I believe he scored in back-to-back games earlier on this season. But AIK in Sweden are reportedly got a bit of interest in Xavier Simons, so we'll keep you updated on that one. What the building revolves around that. Of course, Simons not being involved too heavily at the moment, so maybe he would be looking for a move out. We're unsure whether it's a permanent or a loan deal at the moment. I think a loan deal would be fantastic, but of course, if it's a permanent because we have got replacements coming in, which I have been saying. A little bit of positive news about Charlie Hughes. Charlie Hughes is back out onto the training field. He posted on Instagram, back on the grass. So we expect a Charlie Hughes revival imminent, I expect, in the next coming weeks, possibly into February. Hull City are reportedly keen on signing Nottingham Forest midfielder Lewis O'Brien on loan. So Lewis O'Brien, of course, another Nottingham Forest player that we're linked with this season. I don't know why we were all of a sudden going into the Nottingham Forest market when it didn't obviously work that well last time out with Tobias Figueiredo. But yeah, we'll move on. So Lewis O'Brien, reportedly a deal is in the works there to bring him in on loan. That's pretty much all we've heard on that front. Another player that Hull City are keen to bring in, and the player is keen to be brought in as well, being Sorba Thomas. Obviously, Sorba Thomas, known for his time at Huddersfield, still, I believe, a Huddersfield player. And Ruben Sayers has been, when he got asked about the mystery winger Sorba Thomas, which apparently this has been the mystery winger that we've been linked with all transfer window and finally been announced. This is what Ruben Sayers had to say. He's the type of player that would be very welcome to our squad. So Ruben Sayers got something a little bit positive to be said. A little notch in this sort of thing. Of course, he's currently out on loan at Nantes over in France, and they're wanting to keep the winger. Apparently Sorba Thomas is keen on moving to Hull, and the club feel positive a deal will be completed by the end of the window. So this is probably one of them ones where it's going to come down to the final few hours of deadline day, where Sorba Thomas will be announced. But finally we've got the mystery winger announcement, and hopefully the complications do move aside. Nantes can move on from it, and Sorba Thomas can finally get the move that he wants to, because he does want to move to Hull, being a Yorkshire lad as well, obviously, from Huddersfield. So a very interesting one there. Last reports I gave you on Ryan Longman seemed that he was destined to leave Hull City for Oxford United. Well, it seems like that may not be happening anymore. He may be getting a side shift and moving to Wrexham. Apparently Wrexham have hijacked the deal quite late on, and outbidding Oxford for the winger. And it's suspected that Wrexham have reportedly made a £500,000 bid for Ryan Longman, and with his notable absence from the squad, from the squads in the past few games, we presume that this deal is pretty much ready to go ahead, and Ryan Longman will no longer be a Tiger. 500k for him, not too bad after having a bit of a rough sort of past few seasons. Certainly, I said this from the start when he signed. He was fighting for that contract when he was on loan with us, fighting to get it, and then since then he hasn't really had the same level of impact, I would say, that he did when he first came on loan. Of course, being a bit of a notable absence from matchday squads during his time after a signing, a bit of injury problems that can obviously derail it. But hopefully, if the deal comes through with Wrexham, wishing him all the best over there. Of course, I'll keep you up to date on that one here on the channel. Left back situation might be sorted. Of course, we've had Sean McLaughlin playing there, with Ryan Giles possibly outgoing towards Middlesbrough, and then obviously Matty Jacob being in the realms, of course, young academy lad. Not really an academy lad anymore. He's pretty much been promoted, hasn't he? But City have agreed a deal to sign Southampton left back Charlie Taylor on loan. The only problem with this one being that Charlie Taylor hasn't yet decided on the move away from Southampton. But a decision is expected to be taken in place in the next 24 hours. Once again, I'll keep you to date on that one. Very, very nice left back addition if this does come through. A very quality left back at this level, of course, playing with Burnley and Southampton across with many other clubs, would be a very, very good addition into the squad, and probably an improvement over the current form of Ryan Giles in the City setup, of course, being out of favour once again, and destined probably to move back to Middlesbrough, to have Charlie Taylor back in, and then maybe have a 2 or a 3 rotation at left back, where obviously we know Sean McLaughlin play there, you got Drama, Kyle, they can obviously do a job there, and then Matty Jacob being sort of the out and out left back with Charlie Taylor coming in would provide some competition in that defensive lineup, but it also produce a very, very strong player into that defensive lineup, especially down that left hand side, where we we're lacking a little bit without having a true left back pushing up that left hand side, which Charlie Taylor will obviously bring for Hull City, being a very experienced player at this division as well. So some very, very interesting surroundings around Hull City's transfer business. A few deals that are going to be overcoming some complications, but hopefully they do get pulled off. And then some deals that are pretty much imminent, ready to go, if not they've already been done. So very, very good time for Hull City, hoping that these additions can help us, obviously following the back of last night's loss, and then presumably a very tough game on Friday against Sheffield United. It's going to be a tough time for Hull City, but these signings I think will help. Of course, stay tuned on the channel by liking and subscribing to keep up to date on everything Hull City, and I will see you in the next video. Up the Tigers!